Welcome to the Commissioner meeting for May 2nd. I'll have Matt, if you want to start, introduce yourself, and we'll just go around the room.
Matthew McCartney here representing the Front Range Casa Gal.
I'm Sandra Hopkins. I'm with Morris Line Surveys. I'm here representing Alan Beck.
Melody Marmison, Jaconetty.
Paula, Jaconetty, Clerk and Recorder.
Austin Ware, County Sanitarian.
Brian Colesworthy, County Planner.
Joe Dellwo, Commissioner.
Dick Snellman, Commissioner. Welcome. First item is minutes from April 4th meeting and April 18th.
I would move to approve those minutes.
And being Sam is not here, I would second that. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have one road encroachment from Three Rivers Telephone. It's on 10th Lane Southwest. It's for a fiber cable, and it needs to be 3 foot deep, and it's been approved by the road department.
I would move to approve that road encroachment.
I would second that. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of the road encroachment?
Aye.
Aye. Was Ryan coming?
Never confirmed.
Okay, do you know anything on the farmer's market, or you want us to table
I think this is
that?
just a formality, so yeah, just table it.
Okay.
It's a formality to make sure that they're up to speed on all their regulations and the county's fine.
Yeah, I can talk on it a little bit
There you
too.
go.
Okay,
So the farmer's market recommendation was actually mine. It's because the local foods meets all West Tunes event. So they're gonna have a focus on kind of creating and providing a space for local producers. And as a farmer's market, it actually opens that up quite a bit in terms of what you're allowed to do there. I believe there's some question I might still have on whether or not anybody could come and produce food under the Local Food Choice Act that got passed a couple of years ago, I think, or if it needs to be a farmer's market. But getting it categorized as farmer's market completely removes that question, because local food producers, when they're doing that face-to-face sales without a cottage food permit, it needs to be at a like a traditional community event. That's what they call it. That's not super well defined, but farmers market definitely meets one of those, or what definitely meets that criteria. So I was recommending getting them categorized as farmers market for, and that's actually going to be Shelby and Jennifer downstairs.
correct.
For those events, and this would be in addition to the Shoto's Farmers Market existing.
So are those the contacts that you want people to,
Yep, that's.
Shelby and at the extension? or-
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
It's for the Get Your Cakes at 6 concert series, starting July 5th all the way to August 31st.
And that's the program for show.
Yep.
Okay. So we definitely like the information, and now people know who to contact for certain as to how to participate in it.
Yep, and farmers markets have a couple of guidelines and regulations that are kind of nice to have that structure available, just to control which producers are coming in and what kind of information they need to provide to the farmers market managers. So I think it's a pretty good sell for this event.
Okay. Thanks, Austin, for the information. Any questions by anyone? Okay, we'll move on to Dutton Fire Chief appointment. It's been recommended that Jeff Horick be advanced to the Fire Chief in Dutton, and it's by Kalen Leitner and their group.
I'll move to appoint Jeff Horak as the Dutton Fire Chief.
I would second that. Been moved and seconded. the fire chief for Dutton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to, we have 2 subdivision information.
I'm not tracking the double L one.
No,
that's fine.
Austin
That's
is.
yours? Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, you wanna go first?
So,
Yeah, I can do double L real quick.
okay.
Double L subdivision, it's that, it's a subdivision, 4 lots, I believe, north of Shoto, all above 20 acres. The deal here is that they have existing sanitary approval from the county that says, single-family dwellings only, for 1 single-family dwelling per lot. That's because that's all they went approved for when they originally subdivided. Ben Hartley came to me a couple weeks ago asking if he can get a second home in there, and I told him not without doing this first and doing the legwork to get basically environmental impact analysis done on that second septic system. Nitrates came back fine, passed no issue because there's plenty of room out there. So I wrote up a new certificate of subdivision plat approval that is just pending commissioner approval before it can get recorded.
Okay, but you've done all the
Yeah, then I've got a copy of
background
it.
and
Copy of it here if you're interested. Really nothing's changed on what the existing approval was. He still has that one house. It's just going to be another location. We did the test bit there. We did a new nitrate analysis to make sure we weren't bumping up the water level past a certain threshold. And it's got a new lot layout showing where the new house would be.
Okay, so it's pretty straightforward then.
Very straightforward.
I would move to approve the change for double L subdivision.
I would second that. Any questions for Austin on the subdivision? If not, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then we will move on to the Beck subdivision in Fairfield.
Yep. So Sanders here, from Morris Land Surveyor. So this is a pretty standard one. It's a singular lot down to 4. One of the lots at some point will go into an ag covenant per Alan Beck, and then I'll just go through the conditions that Staley sent to us. Actually, I'll go over one other thing before. So the one thing that was in here that is still pending for, this is just the approval for the preliminary, but there are some recommendations for the final plat. And of course, they need to get their encroachment permits from Fairfield, which they are working on theirs through their civil attorney to make sure they have an accurate form, but it was an ordinance before. That's the one thing that will be pending for a final, but that wasn't in our conditions from Staley. The recommendation from Staley was the final plat and plan shall be in submittal compliance with the preliminary plat and plans received and approved by the governing body except as modified by these conditions. The second condition and approval suggested the final plat and supplement shall comply with the uniform standards for final subdivision plats and shall be reviewed by the county examining land surveyor, subdivision administrator prior to final approval. These are pretty much standard ones that go in anyways.
Boilerplate.
Yep. And then third would be prior to filing the final plat, the subdivider shall provide proof that all real property taxes, special assessments assessed and levied on the property are paid for the current tax year, including any delinquencies. Please note that this condition is met by the county treasurer signed certification. And then number 4, the final plat contains a note that lot 1, 2, and 3 are not permitted for development, and that future owners of these lots must gain sanitary permits from the proper jurisdiction prior to constructing any facilities requiring storm sewer or water facilities. And then the 5th one, upon approving the conditional approving the subdivision application and preliminary plat, the commission will provide the applicant with dated and signed statement approval. Approval shall be in force for 36 months from the date of the written decision. This is again just another.
It's preliminary.
Yep. And then the planning board has approved this with these conditions. Senator, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I think this is a pretty straightforward subdivision. We have some concerns about condition number 4. We feel it's unnecessary to include given that there's already sanitary restrictions listed on the plat itself, which have statutory effect of what condition of approval number 4 is. Other than that, we've been working on this for a little while. Alan's excited to get his lots divided and hopefully get them sold off.
This is adjoining the city of Fairfield, correct?
No, it's the encroachment permits would be allowing legal access from the city of Fairfield Road, but it's still county.
Right. But I mean, the land is adjoining or...
Yes, it is within
That's
the,
what
yeah.
I...
Yep, it's adjoining. So Senator did the same request for number 4, and the planning board pushed for that to stay in. That's the only thing.
And Fairfield is... You've talked
Yep,
to
Lauren Tack was there. He gave his statements and everything. Him and Alan have, had discussions, and I think the only thing that Lauren and Alan, if I remember correctly, was that there would be an ag covenant on parcel 2A-1 down the road, or at the time of the final plat submission.
That's something that they're looking at doing in the future
Yeah.
in conjunction with the road discontinuation of the street along the north side of the church there.
Yeah, and the city of Fairfield currently at this time, per their letter, is that they have no intention of providing facilities due to lack of capability on their end. So if at some point a land would want to be annexed in and added to the public services, that of course the whole process would go through all of Fairfield, and they would make that. But currently right now they state that they don't have those capabilities to provide any additional facilities while they're working on their water and sewage system.
Okay.
And then probably should just put out there, we did get through. We had a couple adjoining landowners show up. They made no comments, and then I got 3 comments from citizens in Fairfield, and basically their comments were the gist of it is that they are concerned about the additional water source if somebody tries to build. Were they going to use a well? Were they going to use public facilities? Their concern is that there is already lacking services.
Sure.
For water supply, and that was it. And Lauren's addressed that with the city as well. And the letter was they don't plan on providing any current public services yet until they can get their system up. But that is again, like I said, when it comes time, if Alan decides or whoever buys that property and wants to be annexed in, they would have to go through that whole process, and the city of Fairfield would approve or deny that.
Okay. And this is the preliminary.
Yes.
Yep, so
And-
you're asking for preliminary approval with conditions?
Yeah, with the conditions that were put on the staff report recommended by Staley Engineering.
Okay.
And if I could comment about number 4, I'd actually probably agree that there's already a note on the plat saying there's sanitary restrictions. That's part of the exemption, is that it's like a required part of that plat already. I don't know what another note on top of it would do, but if we want to go down that route, I'd probably recommend doing it.
It's on the plat, so
Yeah, it's already on the plat.
So we could remove condition number 4. It's on the plat as part of the exemption.
But the board didn't want to,
Yeah, Brad just said he felt comfortable more pushing, and the board agreed. It basically is just a reinstatement is what is on the plat as well. So it's a redundancy, but
Yeah, and I actually don't hate that having an extra note saying that, hey, you're not allowed to develop on these properties. I just think it maybe shouldn't be in a condition of 1. It should be in the subdivision regs for every time we do a sanitary restriction.
So by having it on there again, at least it would protect whoever buys it.
I mean, it's already
To
on
give
there.
them, to give them the information.
it's
that-
redundant, so it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what's your recommendations?
I'll go with Austin on this one. It's more his.
Yeah, I would just say that since we're not haven't applied this to other plats before, if we want to do that going forward, it probably requires a little bit of discussion with the planning board and getting it in the subdivision regs. But to me, it doesn't make much sense to do it just for one plat.
Okay, I will move to give preliminary approval with conditions except for number 4.
you're exempting number 4.
Yes.
Okay, and I would second that. Any other questions? It's been moved and seconded to accept the preliminary Beck subdivision with, except for number 4. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed. Then we have a representative from CASA. Matt, would you like to?
Yeah, we're here to ask for a donation once again this year. You guys have been great in the past supporting us. As you're aware, Front Range CASA supports and promotes court-appointed volunteer advocacy, so every child who has experienced abuse or neglect in the 9th Judicial District can be safe, have a permanent home, and the opportunity to thrive. As a consistent, caring adult in the child's life, a volunteer helps the district judge make the most informed decisions for the well-being of the child. Front Range CASA volunteers tend to be assigned the most difficult and complex cases adjudicated. Last year, Front Range CASA volunteers provided approximately 2,000 hours of volunteer service to area children involved in the court system due to abuse and neglect. As evident by the chart, if anybody needs copies, I have more copies. The need for trained volunteer advocates in our area is clear. To date, Front Range CASA is one of the few programs that provides a volunteer for every child in the court system due to abuse and neglect. We would really appreciate your support if we could acquire another donation similar to last year's and prior year's donations. To help us fund these volunteers and reimburse them for their mileage is the only way they get paid. So there's no stipend or paycheck. And also, if anybody listening or here in the room wants to advocate for kids, we're looking for more volunteers all the time. You just have to be able to pass a federal background check and some fingerprints because you do handle sensitive information pertaining to the cases. So we would appreciate your support once again this year.
We have been giving $2,500 in the past, so I would move to continue and do that again for this year as well.
Yeah, any questions? If not, I would second that for a $2,500 donation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's
All
a very
theirs.
good cause, man.
Thank you, I'll get the plan to them.
Yeah, you just send that to Kirsten or,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we have a immunization task order. Total amount on that, Mel, is $37,889. And we've talked to Melissa on this, and it's one that she uses all the time, so.
And again, it's one of those irritating DocuSign things that bypass the process, but
What's your pleasure?
I will move to approve the already signed immunization task order.
Yes, I would second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have from our election committee, election judges and polling places. And we have a copy here for you, Mel.
There we go.
It's a big list.
Yeah, I'm not gonna,
So we made you a copy.
the polling, I'll give you the polling sites. Precinct 1 is Teton County Annex. Precinct 6 is Power Schools. Precinct 7 is Fairfield Community Hall. Precinct 11 is Pendroy Fire Hall. Precinct 17 is Dutton American Legion. And I can give you the chief judges if you want them. Precinct 1 is Nancy Morehouse. Precinct 6 is Joanna Mellinger. Precinct 7 is Butch Vandereet and Phyllis Rapp. Precinct 11, Joanne Snodgrass. Precinct 17 is Chad Duhaney and Eric Duhaney. And the count board is Caroline Cole.
I would move to appoint the election judges on the list and the polling sites.
And I would second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Commissioner report.
Go ahead.
We've got a report from the road department. This week there'll be multiple graders doing maintenance east of Fairfield. And they're mainly focusing on 5th Road northeast, 10th Lane, working north from the county line, road conditions and weather permitting. And one thing they ask is if they could find an alternative route, whether the next mile over or whatever, while they're working. And preferably to try maintain the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit on the bench. And then the other thing that is being implemented at this time is road counters, so we can definitely have the roads that are most traveled, which we know, but just for documentation. And anything else, Joe?
I guess the idea behind this is that we want to go district by district and hit them one district every year hard in the spring when the moisture's in the ground. Try to catch up those roads and we'll rotate through each district because we realize that our roads aren't in the best shape in the world. So we're trying something a little different, see if that will help through the rest of the year.
So instead of having like one grader per district or
That's
whatever,
the way it
we're
is now.
concentrating to attack one district hard in the spring and then go maintain the
And
rest.
it's just going to be for like the first week, we'll hit it with 6 graders in one
Yeah.
district, try to catch everything up, all the problem spots that the operator's district
Yeah.
he's identified, and then we'll rotate those through with a different
So about
district every year.
we have 7 districts,
8.
8. So once every 8 years, they'll get hit hard.
Yep.
Hey, on the road counters, is that something we have to pay additional, or is that stuff we have on hand?
No, we have 2 road counters, and we have done it in the past. We haven't done it for a while, but that will give us the ability to target the really high use roads, and we have a pretty good idea of what those roads are, but we want to get the numbers down to justify more grading on those roads, hopefully.
So if that's on my road, you want me to stop and get out and jump up and down on the hose?
Sure, please.
They're pretty hard.
They're
Pretty hard to
pretty hard to do it.
The one, we did the Bellevue Road about 10 years ago, and the one interesting statistic we got out, they also record the miles per hour, and there was a person driving the Bellevue Road at 94 miles per hour, which was an eye-opener.
It wasn't
Charlie
me.
Yeager, yeah, no. Charlie, I did that purposely.
It doesn't give names, doesn't give license plates, it just gives,
I remember seeing that in a report because I think they were working on the missile roads or something. They're like, oh, and this counter turned up almost 100 miles an hour. Somebody's driving.
Yeah.
So
which is something we don't endorse.
no.
We're trying a few things different, see if we can do a better job.
Appreciate you guys changing it up to try and get better county roads around here. Lord knows we have enough miles of them.
Yeah, we do have a large amount. Any other public comment? So our next meeting will be same place, May 16th, 10 a.m.
I think it's the 18th.
18th?
Yep.
16th,
That one's April.
that's April.
Oh, okay, is it 16th?
Yeah.
Okay, I was looking wrong. We haven't changed the calendar yet.
16.
Yep, 16th. Thought I made a mistake, but I
I'm
was
using my
wrong.
math skills. 14.
So we'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks.
Make sure I had the right day. Exactly.